take willpower to survive. It takes God. Life needs energy to exist, and almost all animals get energy the same way. A built-in power plant, a digestive system that returns food into fuel. But how does it work? How did animals evolve such as a fantastic range of a digestive system? To know the story of evolution, you have to go with the gut. These competitive eaters may eat 20 pounds of food in a single sitting. Once the food enters the mouth, the transformation begins. As food is chewed, moistened, and broken down with saliva, our tongue molded into soft pellets that we can swallow. Food slides down into the esophagus. It's turned in the stomach and mixed with a powerful enzyme and acid. After 4 or 5 hours in the stomach, the food is almost pure liquid that flows into the small intestine. Nutrients are extracted from the soup and absorbed into the bloodstream. The remainder is sent to the large intestine, and where water is reabsorbed and solid waste stored in until it can be excreted. Life today is the result of billions of years of changes, mutations, and natural selection. But through all the years and all the species, one need has remained constant to survive. Every organism on earth must have energy. To get it, animals steal it from other kinds of life, eating plants, microbes, and other animals. Once they have their meals, they must break it down to acquire energy. And for most animals, they break it down. It happens in a gut and raw materials they need to grow and survive. First guts may have look like the ones in jellyfish today. If you look at something like a jellyfish, it doesn't have a mouth and an anus and a tube going from one end to the other. All it has is a sac, so it can take food into the sac and then it can spit food back out. That worked very well for jellyfish. Long ago, bacteria, the very first life on Earth, evolved enzymes to break down all manner organic materials. When the first animals emerged, bacteria would find shelter in their guts. In return, bacteria broke it down, the food, because animals could not digest themselves. Over a half billions of years later, are still essential for digestion, and nearly all animals. We carry some 10 trillion microbes in our own guts, which help us to extract nutrients from our food. One of the animal kingdom's most successful lineages. Creatures with backbones, our own ancestors. First fish evolved into fast-swimming predators with powerful eyes and other senses for hunting. Fish are also evolved more sophisticated gut that did not choose a blind pouch or a tube, but the first proper stomach when we shows you get up to pass food past different digestive tract in a certain order, so you could be much more efficient about breaking the food down and getting the good stuff out of it. On land, some land vertebrates would evolve guts for eating leaves, while others would eat insects. They in turn would be eaten by other animals. Eventually, the biggest guts on dry land would evolve to fuel one of the great evolutions triumphs, the dinosaurs. Internal organs, things like the stomach and the intestine, don't typically fossilize, and there are no hard parts and these organs. And so, when we look for the evidence of what dinosaurs' digestive system will like, we have to look the other evidence of the life of the dinosaurs. Another creatures had evolved the same survival strategy in some very extreme feeding habits. And early days of mammals, one type of lizard to take advantage for the bountiful food source, rather than longing of its prey, it lost its legs, slithered, cold-blooded, and slow-moving. It came up a new approach to feeding as well. The snake doesn't chew its food. It doesn't have teeth or jaws for that job. Instead, snakes swallow their victims whole. These snakes can swallow whole animals because its digestive tract makes up almost 90% of its body. It is essentially one long gut. But once the swallowing is done, the hard work begins. And now, how does the snake transform the rat into energy? At this point, he beat the stomach, putting on a lot of hydrochloric acid as well as pepsin that was really breaking it down the soil, and it is literally hidden inside the snake. The rat will continually moving inside the stomach of the snake, as well as the acid and the enzymes will continually breaking it down until there's nothing left. After 7 days, the rat is digested and stored into energy, which will carry the snake through a long fast. Basically, longer periods of times without eating, letting their store energy fuel their metabolism, and it's just a good strategy for feeding, for digesting, and now for surviving. Snakes are not only animals that have evolved extreme guts to cope with difficult diet. The guts have been the center of evolution, and now a new way of digesting food has allowed a new kind of animals to walk the earth, to work on our world. And that's all for the evolution of the gut.